Welcome to the class. Today we are going to learn about the process of memory or factors of memory. So here is our focus question, that is, what are the processes of memory? Okay. So in our last class we already discussed the meaning and characteristics of memory. Today we proceed with another actually specific topic of memory, that is processes of memory. So let's proceed towards the processes. So first of all, the process of memory first include learning. So learning is the very important or first necessary point regarding memory. Next, that is retention. Okay, so retention is nothing but storing capacity or storing of any learning facts in our mind. Okay, next, that is recall. Recall means when we actually memorize the things and recall those things, that is recall. Thirdly or fourthly, it is recognition. Okay, and lastly it is localization. So this is about the process of memory. So here the first 4 points, learning, retention, recall and recognition, are the important points of our important process of memory. Localization is actually aid here by some psychologists by the need of this point. Okay, mainly these 4 points are important, but localization is not so important regarding the process of memory. Okay, so let's begin with learning. So here, learning, if you want to remember anything, whether any work or event or any kind of experience, then first we have to learn or acquire that experience. It means that only learned experience can only be remembered. So if we try to remember something, we must actually learn the thing first. Okay, if we will not learn anything, then it is very difficult for us to remember. Okay, so in the process of memory, it is the first and very important first process of memory, because learning is very much important for memorize things. Because if we just assume we put some water in a bottle. Okay, if we will not put water in the bottle, then it is very difficult to throw some water inside the bottle. Okay, from the bottle. That means what? That if we learn something, then we can remember or recall, or we can say another one, that if we learn, therefore I will give you this one. Okay, so learning is very much important regarding memory. Okay, so you need to learn something, then we can proceed towards another steps of memory. Okay, if we store something in our mind, we have to learn the things. So next point, it is retention. So retention is nothing but the act of keeping or storing our learned or acquired experiences in our mind in the form of images, or is retention. Okay, so retention means nothing but storing things in our mind. The person whose storing capacity is good, that means the person can learn actually remember many things easily. Okay, or he is actually talent, we can say, or we can consider a person is talented because his storing capacity is very good. Okay, so firstly we have to learn something, then we have to keep the things in our mind or store the things in our mind. And the next point, that is recall. So recall means reproduction of all experiences in our present conscious mind with the help of images is called recall. So recall is nothing but the third process of memory. Here, after learn the things, you have to actually store the things in your mind, and after storing the things we have to recall, because if you are not recalling the things, then it will come to the forgetting process. Okay, we will forget if we will not recall the things. So recall means nothing but the reproduction of all experiences in our present conscious mind, the things which are inherent in your mind, which are actually retained, which are actually stored in our mind. We have to recall the things to actually continue the process of memory. So we must recall the things, because it is very important to store the things or actually know the process of memory. Okay, so nextly, that is recognition. So recognition is a process by which we can say that it is actually mental act based on which we can identify our own things, that which we recall or which we learn in our previous time. Okay, the things which we learn, after learning we have to store it. Okay, after storing this we have to recall these things. After recalling, lastly recognition. Actually what you learn or what you recall, you have to actually identify that I have learned these things, this is this one. Okay, so recognition means the experience which we actually get, which we recall in our present conscious mind, the same image of our old experience or not. What we actually recognize that in our last time we recall something, or we learn something, or we actually retain something, those things are already inherent in you, but at the time of recognition you might follow that the things which you learn or which you retain or which you recall is exactly the same thing, is not or not, is is these things is the thing or not. Okay, so recognition the identify the actual fact or actual learning content which you learn, which you recall is the same thing or not. Okay, for example, you learn one very small point, the insightful learning. Okay, so when it will come to your examination, if you exactly put the things in your examination paper, that means you actually perfectly recognize the things, because insightful learning means where we what we found, and this is gestalt. Okay, the gestalt is Kohler. So when we actually link to our learned experiences, or find out or identify the fact that is this one is the main point, or this one is the point, or this one is the content that we learned earlier. Okay, so this is recognition. And lastly, it is localization. Localization is nothing but applying the recognition, we need to observe and identify the place, time, person, etc. of our old experience. It is localization. It is actually when we recognize something that this is the content we learn. So localization means the time when these things we learn, and a specific topic, which topic we learn, and what timing we learn, and from where or which situation we learn. So this is localization. When we find out the exact situation, exact place, or exact time of our learning experiences, that is localization. Simply, it is the mental process of mind which enables us to identify time and space of past experience definitely. Okay, so first what we can, in the process of memory, first we have to learn the things. Secondly, we have to retain the things in our mind, we have to store the things. After storing, we have to recall the things, because if you not recall the things, that means it will go to the forgetting area. Okay, we forget the things if we will not recall the things. Okay, recall means repetition the things. Okay, nextly, recognition the things. Okay, what we learn, what we retain in our mind, what we recall, we have to recognize these things that we learn in our earlier class, insightful learning. So we have to find out that insightful learning is the process where related to gestalt is related to this one, or like Kohler is the father of the insightful learning. So these are some recognition. We have to recognize the exact fact, I have to identify the exact fact. Okay, and next is localization. Localization means in what time, actually what time we learn the things, and what situation we learn the things, and which content actually we learn. Okay, we learn insightful learning. So localization means just find out that we learn this thing. Okay, and nextly the timing, that we can say that we learn the things at the time of 6 p.m. Okay, we can say 6 p.m. on 5th August, 6 p.m. we learn the thing. So the time, the person, the situation, that is localization, that when we learn the thing. So this is about all the memory process. Okay, so localization is not so important, as some scholars, some psychologists aid these things with the process of memory. But the 4 points, okay, that is, first one is learning, okay, retention, okay, then it is about recall, and lastly lastly recognition. So these 4 things are very important in the process of memory. Okay, so thank you students. If you have any problem with these points or with this content, then you may ask. Okay, and keep the notes if possible, and try to recall the things which you learn in our earlier classes, like the memory, meaning of memory, so that it is easier for you to understand. So till that, thank you, bye bye.